Just got dressed. It's 5 o'clock. I fell asleep after 10:30 this morning. I couldn't fall asleep because of a lack of drive to breathe, and my throat was closing awake. You can't fall asleep when your throat is closed. So at 10:30, I had to put the CPAP on to try to fall asleep. Well, I had to put the CPAP on because if my lack of drive to breathe is that bad awake, what's going to happen after I fall asleep? Because usually when you fall asleep, your breathing goes even slower, right? Here's the thing I realize: when I get overtired, when I get way, way, way too tired, that lack of drive to breathe gets even worse. Like, way worse. So I had to wear CPAP, and right away, instantly, I can feel fluid rolling around my sinuses, on the top of my teeth. My ears screwed up. Tinnitus is way worse. It's from the CPAP, making my sinuses sick because my maxillary sinuses are cut open. And every time I exhale here, it literally feels like I'm dying. Like, way worse than I've ever said this before. Way worse than I've ever felt this exhaling thing before. I'm going to try to go out for a walk. I could just collapse. When I'm in bed, that's when a lot of the memories come back. I have, 40 years that I was misdiagnosed, and multiple medical injuries. 40 years of being harmed by misdiagnosis, multiple misdiagnosis, multiple medical injuries, injured during a couple from a couple surgeries, injured multiple times from medications, multiple prescribed overdoses, which I can prove. All these hundreds of appointments, and where I'm being told nothing's wrong, or things are being covered up, accidents, medical errors are being covered up, deliberately covered up, right? All this continual misdiagnosis, and like hundreds of appointments in 40 years. And all these memories come back, and it's like this big rabbit hole. And throughout all of this, no matter what happened, my goal was to find out, no matter what the end result of all of this is going to be. The My goal was to find out what has all really happened here. What's really happening? My goal was to uncover the mistakes. How are these happening? How does this chronic misdiagnosing happen? Oh, my hair is freshly washed and it smells nice. I got a whiff of the smell from my conditioner. You stop talking and go, oh, I smell nice. I didn't mean it that way. So, and I get all these memories, like it's an awesome thing to uncover so many things and to finally figure things out, and to finally figure out how these things happened, and figure out all these secrets and all these cover-ups, and figure out, and you think, oh, I remember when I was sitting with that doctor this one time and we were having this conversation and blah blah blah, and I felt so discombobulated and conflicted. I felt so much cognitive dissonance in that moment, in that conversation with that doctor, and to find out years later what was actually happening, and literal proof on paper. Years later, I find out from digging how I was actually being manipulated, and what was actually going wrong. And all these times, all these different things like this. And it is not. Here's where people get it wrong. Here's how people can victim blame us when they don't understand the nature of what really happened. We're not talking about, an accident happens or you accidentally misdiagnosed and they apologize, and things are made right in your medical records, and you're treated with respect, you're treated diplomatically, they're acting with integrity. No, this is equivalent to like accidentally running your neighbor's kid over in the street. Okay, that's a horrible accident, right? Accidents happen to the best of people. You accidentally run your neighbor's kid over in the street and kill them or permanently disable them. But what do? Do you call 911? Do you run to the house and you're crying and you're trying to get... No, you get in your car and you run and hide your car in the garage and you walk out like nothing happened. That's the kind of behavior we're talking about. And they think that it's okay to behave like this. When a medical accident or an injury occurs, they excuse this behavior. They 100% excuse this behavior. And it's okay to lie about it and collectively cover it up and victim blame and gaslight you and make you feel crazy like it never happened, or try to make you feel crazy like it never happened, and gaslight and lie in your medical records and collectively cover it up. They justify that behavior. Like it doesn't matter that it's insult to injury. You're deliberately harming someone. Now you're deliberately traumatizing the person. This is deliberate harm. You're going out of your way to harm the person to cover your butt. Or you're embarrassed, or you can't apologize, or you're afraid of a lawsuit. And I get that. I understand that, but it doesn't make it okay. And it's easy to victim blame patients and go, well, they're people too, and accidents happen too, and accidents, we all make mistakes. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about accountability. We're talking about integrity. We're talking about people treating people like human beings, not like worthless dogs. And you treat like someone like that over and over and over again, and deliberately traumatize them and pretend that that's okay. You pretend that you've got nothing to do with it. You pretend that the person's sick from trauma or PTSD or anxiety when you've caused the person more trauma than they've ever even imagined. The medical community has done studies on this. How people react when you admit and apologize and give a genuine, sincere apology, even if you've accidentally cut the person's leg off or whatever. Your emotional reaction, the reaction in your nervous system is totally different. The reaction in your nervous system is safety when someone is genuinely apologizing and remorseful and honest and not trying to screw you over to cover up what they've done. What that underhanded behavior does to your nervous system, these people are a threat to your nervous system and to your brain. It's not a conscious decision where you think, oh, you're dangerous because you're lying to me and you're covering that up. I'm going to think that you're dangerous and that's going to affect my nervous system. It's not that way. It's an unconscious thing. When you understand that someone is screwing with you and gaslighting you and lying to you, your nervous system reacts in fear and fight or flight, and because they are a danger to you. If they do it to you once, if they do it to you 10 times, they can do it to you 100 times. And I've seen doctors literally talk like this is perfectly okay to do this, because they justify it to themselves to reduce the guilt that they feel, the blame. They justify it. And they think, well, the harm's done, so cover it up and lie to the person and make the person terrified of you and lie in the medical records. And then they see that in the medical records and then they're enraged. They're not just betrayed. Now they're just double and triple betrayed. Screw somebody over for the mistakes that you've made. Run somebody over and then blame the person that you ran over with your car. People don't understand the rage, the betrayal. If you're capable of doing that once or twice, that defines you, in my definition. That defines who you are. And then there's the odd time when harm is deliberate. So imagine